Welcome to Car and Driver. This is a Subaru BRZ that we've driven for 40,000 miles. If you're unfamiliar with our long-term test program, we do roughly that many miles in about a year or so with the goal of simulating what your new vehicle might be like to live with for the first few years of ownership. For this BRZ, that meant commuting, road trips, driving in real Michigan winter, and yes, getting it set up for track days. We're going to go over what we liked, what we didn't like, what it cost us, and what you should expect if you were to buy one. Choosing which BRZ to get was pretty easy because when we got this, there were only two trims available, the $30,000 Premium and the $32,000 Limited. We chose the latter because it came with 18-inch wheels wrapped with Michelin Pilot Sport 4 tires, and other features it had like heated front seats and blind spot monitoring were a welcome bonus. You can get an automatic with this car for around $1,000, but we never considered it. We did, though, decide to tempt fate with roadside tax collectors by choosing this ignition red paint at no cost. Yeah. Now, the driving experience is what this car is all about, and over 40,000 miles, it never failed to deliver. This is a relatively lightweight, simple rear drive performance car in the way that few cars are anymore. I mean, if you think about it, you've got like the Miata, the Porsche 718 Boxster and Cayman, and that's it. And this car drew plenty of comparisons to the Miata and the Porsche Boxster and Cayman as well. One editor went as far as to say that this gave you 80% of the Porsche driving experience for a third of the price. I'm pretty bad with math, but that sounds like a good value. So the engine's a 2.4 liter flat four with 228 horsepower. That's not an overwhelming amount of horsepower, obviously. It was enough to get this thing to 60 in 5.4 seconds in the quarter mile, at 13.9 seconds at 102 miles an hour when we tested it. That's not too shabby, and it's also about a second improved in both measures versus the previous generation, which is a pretty nice improvement. But it's less the performance figures and more the driving experience. This car's handling, braking, steering, engine, shifter, pedals, they all work in such nice harmony. That's something you can't capture in a number, but it's something you notice when you drive this car every day. After 40,000 miles, it still feels good. It's something about the way the engine responds on a downshift, the way the body feels when you start accelerating through a corner, how the differential starts to engage. It's just very, very nice. If you find yourself on a twisty two-lane road with this car, you can't have a bad time. And if you find yourself not having fun, you need to reevaluate what you expect out of driving a car. This thing is a lot of fun. How is the fuel economy? Really good. The EPA rates this thing at 22 mpg combined. We averaged 26 mpg over 40,000 miles. That's 4 mpg better. That's really good. What didn't we like? The biggest complaint was how noisy it was inside this cabin. And yeah, we get it, it's a sports car and all, but the biggest culprit we thought was the fake engine note that's pumped in through the car's stereo speakers. Subaru doesn't give you a way to adjust this or to disable this through the infotainment or the center console. You can disable the system entirely though by simply unplugging it. To do that, you have to remove this panel here and reach in through the glove box, and that makes a substantial change. We did sound measurement with the system on and off, At full throttle, it's 91 decibels inside this cabin with the system activated. With it disabled, that drops to 81 decibels. That's a big change. Now, why would you want this system? We could think of one pretty good reason. Some track days require you to drive with one, if not both, windows down, and that can make it kind of hard to hear the engine if you're wearing a helmet too. So that's a situation where it's actually beneficial. Other complaints though were pretty minor. Taller drivers on staff thought the steering wheel didn't have enough telescoping range to get them comfortable with where they sat, which makes sense, so keep that in mind if you're very tall. And there were more than a few people on staff who could never quite get the feel of the clutch engagement on this car, even after 40,000 miles. It still takes me some adjustment period if I haven't driven this thing in a bit. Yeah, we actually drove this in winter, and for winter duties, we installed a set of Michelin X Ice snow tires on a set of 16-inch steel wheels. The strategy was we didn't have to worry about curbs or potholes doing any damage to the factory 18-inch wheels, and we all agreed that this thing looked pretty cool on a set of black Steelies. But how did it actually work? Michigan winters have been pretty mild for the past couple of years, but there's still been enough snow especially to challenge lightweight rear drive performance cars like this. And this thing did a pretty good job trudging through that snow with plenty of cornering grip delivered from these Michelin tires. Now, actually building speed in a straight line while keeping the nose straight was somewhat challenging. You had to pay attention to the controls and also the communication coming back to the steering wheel. But that's also why you buy a car like this, is for that driving engagement. And so it's nice to experience it in winter. That's kind of fun. What was also kind of fun is the fact that those Michelin tires had a bit less dry weather traction, so you could sometimes spin them through second gear, and that's always fun. Now, there are plenty of people who are looking to buy these things with grand visions of track days, but here's what you need to know. The brakes need attention. We discovered this at VIR during Lightning Lap 2022 when we tested this generation of the BRZ for the first time. There, our driver was able to basically get one flyer before the system overheated. Subaru has since addressed this shortcoming with the more track-focused BRZ TS for 2024, but we wanted to see what we could do with this car. So we got a set of XP12 brake pads from Carbotech and a new set of brake rotors from Subaru. For brake fluid, we replaced that with Castrol React SRF Racing .4 fluid, and then for tires, we swapped to a set of Bridgestone Potenza race tires. That's just the name, they're not actual race tires, they're still street legal. And they came in a size that's 10 mil wider than the factory setup, but that's the closest size that we could get without fitment issues. What were the gains? At our test track, lateral acceleration increased from 0.95 to 1.01 G, and stopping distances improved too, by 19 feet from 70 miles an hour and 33 feet from 100. Drivability was improved too. Our tester reported much more stability at the limits of adhesion around the skid pad, and a strong initial bite while applying the brakes was a boon to confidence as well. We then took the BRZ as equipped to VIR for Lightning Lap, and there this package cut 3.1 seconds off its lap time and allowed us to run much longer sessions. Most importantly, our drivers reported that the handling balance that we loved from the factory remained the same. Now, you obviously wouldn't want to keep this package on year-round unless you lived in a really temperate area. The .4 fluid and those brake pads need heat to be effective, and when it's cold, that brake package squealed terribly. But you could also imagine a scenario where you put the tires on in spring or summer and install the brake upgrades around track days. But in any event, consider this a good starting point. We followed Subaru's scheduled service plan, which meant visiting the dealer every 6,000 miles for oil filter inspection, and so on. Each one of those visits was around 120 to 140 bucks, except for the time that we had to replace the clutch fluid at 36,000 miles, and that service visit was $550. Pretty expensive, right? Well, Let's talk about cabin air filters. Changing that out on the BRZ, like most other cars, is at most a 5-minute job. But our dealership, Subaru of Ann Arbor, charges half an hour of labor, or around $70 plus the cost of the part. That means what should be a typical service visit at $120 to $140 ends up costing closer to $240. And it contributes to the distrust you should rightfully have of dealership service departments. So thank you, Subaru of Ann Arbor. As far as lightweight, reasonably affordable rear drive coupes go, this BRZ nails the formula. What few complaints we had over its 40,000 mile test are easily overshadowed by what it delivers and by how much fun it is to drive, yes, even in winter. That makes this BRZ and its Toyota GR86 sibling especially worthy veterans of our 10 Best Award.